J.D. Vance meets with Netanyahu in Jerusalem, Russia flexes its nuclear might, and Trump has some fun at the expense of Obama and his presidential library. I'm Georgia Howe with Daily Wire Executive Editor John Bickley. It's Wednesday, October 22nd, and this is Evening Wire.
Vice President J.D. Vance held a joint press conference in Jerusalem today with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, and both leaders emphasized their commitment to disarming Hamas and rebuilding Gaza.
In the last year, we've had an unmatched alliance and partnership with the United States. That is changing the Middle East, and it's also changing the world. It creates opportunities not only for security, but for the expansion of peace, which we're working on very, very diligently. And it's just unmatched.
As the Prime Minister said, these are days of destiny, and we're very excited to sit down and work together on the Gaza peace plan. We have a very, very tough task ahead of us, which is to disarm Hamas, but rebuild Gaza to make life better for the people in Gaza, but also to ensure that Hamas is no longer a threat to our friends in Israel. That's not easy. I think the Prime Minister knows that as well as anybody, but it's something that we're committed to in the Trump administration.
Ahead of Vance's meetings in Jerusalem, President Trump warned Hamas that if it keeps violating his peace deal, the terror group faces a fast, furious, and brutal end. In a social media post Tuesday, the president pointed out that many countries had signed on to the agreement. Those countries told him explicitly and strongly, he said, that they would welcome the opportunity, at my request, to go into Gaza with a heavy force and straighten out Hamas, if Hamas continues to act badly in violation of their agreement with us. Though Trump told them not yet, he made clear he'd open the floodgates if Hamas continues to fail to keep the peace.
Also on the foreign policy front, Russia is flexing its military might with nuclear drills after the Trump-Putin summit got delayed. Daily Wire reporter Tim Pierce has the details.
Russia said today that it carried out a major training exercise involving nuclear weapons. That came a day after the U.S. announced a delay in plans for a second summit between President Trump and Putin. The Kremlin released a video showing the head of the general staff reporting to Putin on the drills. They included practice launches of intercontinental ballistic missiles. As Reuters notes, NATO has also been conducting nuclear deterrence exercises this month, but Russia didn't only run drills, it also launched hundreds more drones and dozens of missiles at Ukraine in an overnight attack targeting energy infrastructure.
President Trump confirmed yesterday that he's seeking damages against the DOJ, but he says any money he gets will go to charity. Talking to the press in the Oval Office yesterday, Trump said the Justice Department owes him money because they, quote, rigged the election. While he acknowledged the conflict of interest, he said he would redirect the money.
I don't know what the numbers are. I don't even talk to them about it. All I know is that they would owe me a lot of money, but I'm not looking for money. It's interesting because I'm the one that makes a decision, right? And, that decision would have to go across my desk. And it's awfully strange to make a decision where I'm paying myself. In other words, did you ever have one of those cases where you have to decide how much you're paying yourself in damages? But I was damaged very greatly, and any money that I would get, I would give to charity.
During that same event, the president ripped Barack Obama's presidential library. The library, which is estimated to cost roughly $850 million and is being constructed on Chicago's South Side, has been criticized for its bulky obelisk-like appearance, thus the nickname the Obamalisk. Asked about it in the Oval Office, Trump said it's the library that DEI built. Here's that exchange.
You're building your ballroom right now. They're also building the Obama Presidential Library. I'm wondering if you've
needs help.
Have you seen pictures of the architecture? And
yeah, I did. It's not too pretty. No, but it's closed. It's stopped. They're stuck. And he wanted only women and DEI to build it. Well, that's what they got. They're hundreds of millions of dollars over budget, and I think it stopped. I'm reading these terrible stories. But that's the way our country was run under President Obama, too. Nobody knew it.
A man was arrested last night after crashing a car into a Secret Service security gate outside the White House. Daily Wire assistant editor Andy Valdez has more.
The Secret Service said a man drove his car into a vehicle gate just outside the White House grounds at approximately 10:37 p.m. At time of recording, the man's identity has not been released, and officials have not said whether the crash was intentional. A spokesman for the Secret Service said the man was, quote, immediately arrested, and the vehicle was assessed and deemed safe. Photos of the vehicle reveal it was an Acura TSX with Maryland license plates. A bomb detection robot was utilized by law enforcement to clear the scene. Secret Service said President Trump was at the White House at the time of the crash.
Several left-wing groups have exploited the homelessness crisis to push Marxist, anti-capitalist, and anti-American ideologies. That's according to a new Watchdog report. Here's Daily Wire reporter Zach Jewell.
In a new 113-page dossier, conservative watchdog Capital Research Center identifies multiple groups that are part of, quote, extremist ideological movements advocating for certain policies to address homelessness. This homelessness industrial complex, the report says, helps shape policies that are counterproductive and fail to address the root problems of the crisis. CRC President Scott Walter told the Daily Wire, quote, many of the groups over time have moved away from a focus on directly serving people who suffer to advocacy, which is to say political fighting. Some groups have gotten seriously radical.
A Democratic former state committee member has sounded off on the disastrous state of the New York City Council. Renee Collymore, a moderate Democrat and former city council candidate, appeared in the American Border Story documentary to express her frustration with the council's dysfunction and disregard for everyday New Yorkers.
This is the worst city council I have ever seen in my life in New York City. This council is a predominantly progressive, leftist, socialist council. And when you have a one-sided council, you can't get work done because they believe that the middle-of-the-road Democrats, the Democrats such as myself and my family, so many people in our district are traditional Democrats. They believe that we are the ones that are standing in the way of progress. Our legislators are acting like the migrants are their children. This is unbelievable.
Collymore also shared accounts from residents who say their concerns were dismissed by city officials.
It began because my neighbors who live on Hall Street, they called me one day and said, we're having an issue. There is a migrant shelter on our block and we need some help. I said, well, did you call a council member? They said, yes, we've called her. We've tried to set a meeting with her, several meetings with her, but they are ignoring us. And one time that they did get into her office, she called them xenophobic. And there was sex trafficking going on. There was panhandling taking place. The migrants were shutting down the children's playground.
A man who threatened to kill Babylon Bee founder Seth Dillon has been arrested. Daily Wire reporter Brecca Stoll has more.
Florida's Attorney General said in a statement on Sunday that the Office of Statewide Prosecution was notified last week of multiple death threats made to Jewish conservative media members who live in Florida. Prosecutors secured an arrest warrant and law enforcement quickly nabbed the suspect. User, quote, Zionists are scum, who authorities now identify as 28-year-old Nicholas Ray, allegedly posted a disturbing message directly threatening Dillon. He also made posts criticizing President Trump, Republican lawmakers, and Israel. Ray faces charges of extortion, written threats to kill, and an unlawful use of a two-way communication device.
Conservative activist Robbie Starbuck is suing Google over defamatory AI claims. According to the suit, an early Google AI tool, Bard, falsely stated that Starbuck had been accused of sexual assault and linked him to white nationalist Richard Spencer. Those claims were entirely fabricated by the AI system. Starbuck said the incident underscores the dangers of misinformation in the age of artificial intelligence. He's seeking $15 million in damages. A spokesperson for Google's parent company Alphabet said the company has already addressed the inaccuracies produced by Bard. Here's Starbuck.
AI needs guardrails, and it needs them now. This technology is clearly not ready to be in the public's purview, and Google needs to get back to work. Political discrimination has gone too far, and it's time for people to take a stand and demand that the future of AI takes into account the large multitude of views there are in our country about politics, and not discriminate against people with them. And also take into account that people are going to be searching on search engines powered by AI about other people to figure out their reputation, and AI better make damn sure it is giving real, truthful answers about those people if it's going to give any answers at all.
In another AI lawsuit, a family is suing OpenAI, claiming that ChatGPT helped their teenage son plan his own suicide. The 16-year-old reportedly spent hours a day conversing with the chatbot, including asking for help to orchestrate a, quote, beautiful suicide, even sending photos of a noose, confirming with the AI if it would work. While OpenAI does provide mental health safeguards for users, the teen's parents claim the safeguards were relaxed in software updates to increase user engagement. OpenAI has disputed the claims, saying that their focus is on usefulness and user safety over engagement.
Curtis Sliwa, the Republican candidate for New York City mayor, has quit his radio show following a heated on-air exchange with his station's owner. As the New York Post reports, Sliwa, who had suspended his program during his campaign, returned to the airwaves Wednesday morning alongside WABC owner John Katsimatidis. During the broadcast, Katsimatidis urged Sliwa to withdraw from the mayoral race. Visibly angered, Sliwa shot back.
You will never see me there again at WABC.
Sliwa says that growing pressure for him to drop out to boost Andrew Cuomo's chances against Zoran Mamdani has forced him and his wife to hire private security for their protection. All right, those are your drive home updates today. To learn more about these stories, go to dailywire.com. And in case you missed it this morning, we covered some major stories, including Trump pressuring Democrats as the shutdown grinds on, blue state governors forming a shadow public health alliance, and one of the boldest heists of the century leaving the Louvre missing priceless jewels. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back tomorrow morning with another full edition of Morning Wire.